Hi guys, in today's video we'll learn how to create generic building envelope, and then we'll experiment with the shape of the building. And firstly, we'll create separate layers so that it's easy to manage and go through the different layers. So creating different layers like building envelope, building driver, and floor plate, facade. That makes it much easier to go through the process. And we can start by creating a rectangle. It can be of any shape, but in my case I've taken a rectangle which is by 50 by 50 meters, and we use the bevel command to create a floor plate. It's important to make sure that we create the floor plate on the copy that we've created from the driver, and we create another copy of the building driver. Make sure it's a reference, so it's a clone but it's a reference, so that later we'll experiment with the driver and the shape of the building should change. After we're done with the floor plate, we start to do the facade. To make the facade, we use the extrude command on the rectangle, and we'll extrude it by 4 meters. And since the facade doesn't have a top or a bottom, we'll get rid of the capping, the cap start, and we'll check off the cap start and cap end. Later we'll create another clone, make sure it's a reference, to create mullions of the clone will be made of the driver, and use the normalize spline command, and then click on show knots and insert approximately 8 knots. So it can depend on how big the building is, and use the extrude command. Again, extrude it by 4 meters because that's the height we're taking of a floor, and use the lattice command to create the mullions. Now it might seem a bit out of proportion, but just change the radius to 0.2 meters, and it can be of different shapes. You can choose for yourself. In my case I'm going to use octa. Now later we will create an array to create the different floors of the building. Now make sure that while creating array, you only select the facade, floor plate and mullion layers. You don't select the driver layer, because we don't want the array of the driver. After we create the array, we just use the array command on the z-axis to create 30 floors, and x and y we keep them as 1. We'll change the spacing to 4 meters, because that's the height for the floors. And that's how you get the overall envelope of the building. Now you can take the driver aside using the move, and you can see if you change the dimensions of the driver, which is the rectangle, the dimensions of the building change. You can further experiment by using the edit spline command and selecting the individual points of the rectangle and changing their positions to see how that reflects in the shape of the building. This can be interesting to use in places where you want to create some parametric forms or just experiment with the massing of the building. Try out different forms and see which one works the best. That will be all for today's video, and thanks for watching.